Weather in Pitalito is warm, muggy, and overcast with a minimum temperature of 15 degrees to maximum 27, leading coffee cherries to develop high levels of sugars. Going back to my signature beverage shots for a minute, I'm using 20.5 grams in to extract 40 grams out. And when the coffee, using a temperature of 93 degrees. And when the coffee comes out of the espresso machine, it has a temperature of 66 degrees. And I will use this Paragon brewer to shock the coffee and immediately drop its temperature by 20 degrees in order to maintain body, but also to capture aroma characteristics. And we will come back to that later. So going back to the coffee process again, the coffee information and specifically process. The coffee cherries are hand-picked, carefully selected, and placed in plastic drums for a 48 hours oxidation process. Then the bricks and pH are checked, and only the rafted cherries are going through a thermal shock at 50 degrees. Then these tanks are sealed for 80 hours for the anaerobic fermentation process to take place, while adding a yeast of Saccharomyces at 35 degrees. This specific fermentation technique, in combination with high concentrations of sugars, develops on coffee-specific lactones and esters, responsible for the sweet and creamy mouthfeel, but also for the fruity and floral flavor notes. The coffee was roasted 12 days ago using a Stronghold S7 Pro. It's an electric roaster that applies convection with radiation heat using a halogen lamp that truly reveals interesting cup characteristics, increasing the sweetness and mouthfeel. We roasted the coffee for 9 minutes at an Actron target of 64. For the espresso shots, I'm using 20.5 grams in to extract 48 grams out. And now please write down the cup profile for me, and when I give you the cups, please evaluate only the crema and wait for my instructions. In taste balance, you will find medium to high acidity, high sweetness, and low bitterness. In tactile, the body is medium weight with a creamy texture and a juicy finish. And in flavors, you will find tropical fruits like peach and melon, but also bergamot notes and delicate floral aromatics like orange blossom. Judges, now please use your spoons to stir the espresso 5 times. And as I want you to do something new, excuse me, thank you, to activate all of your senses and elevate the flavor experience, I kindly ask you to leave your notes underneath these black boxes. Please leave your notes. And then pick up the black vessel, open it, the black vessel, open it, and smell the dry aroma of this Caturra Ciroso variety. This will activate your olfactory senses to better perceive the flavor profile of my cup. And when you're ready, close it, put it back in case. And lastly, while evaluating the espresso, please feel the fabric on your left side. The smooth, silky texture will highlight the tactile experience even more. Enjoy. Judges, if you're ready, let's now move to the milk course. I'm using 20.5 grams in to extract 40 grams out. A slightly different ratio to help the coffee intensity come through the milk. I will then serve in cups of 110 ml using a lactose-free milk that I have freeze distilled in order to reduce it by 50% and highlight sweetness and creamy mouthfeel. In combination with my coffee recipe, this will give you a flavor profile of vanilla ice cream, toffee, and apricot jam. The body is heavy and creamy. And the aftertaste is long, sweet, and silky. Now, judges, please, again, when I serve you my cappuccino, my milk beverages, evaluate only the visual and wait for my instructions. Shifting ordinary transactions to extraordinary experiences. This can be very much linked to our senses. So inspired by the Sensory and Cupping Handbook of Specialty Coffee Association and scientific research on how senses interact with each other from a psychological and neurological perspective, I wanted to explore more on how can I drive a sensory experience by using cross-modal perception. Shapes and colors related to the sense of sight can drive a tasting experience, creating expectations based on our memories. So for that reason, the cups I'm using today are white and round with a thick cream, creating a sweet and smooth expectation before even tasting the coffee. Complex, high-quality specialty coffees. They can trigger all of our senses. Thus, it is important to activate them all to experience flavor at the maximum. Touch is one of those senses, and it can drive a tasting experience, affecting our mood and psychology. So for that reason, I kindly ask you to go back to the boxes, grab a few of these pink sponges. Please go ahead. Hold them and squeeze them to your hand for a few seconds, playing around while evaluating the milk beverage. Their smooth velvety feeling will highlight the tactile experience of this cup. Please enjoy. And now, if you're ready, let's move to the signature course. We spoke about value, now let's talk atmosphere. The surrounding environment when tasting a beverage creates an atmospheric experience, and this is where magic happens. This is exactly how I felt when I tasted this coffee on its natural environment in Colombia, where the atmospheric experience of farm and nature left no room for negative flavors in my cup. This is my goal for today, to connect you with this natural environment and share my experience with you. So for that reason, all the ingredients and tasting experience are linked to the coffee farm. With my first ingredient, this infusion. 10 grams of coffee cascara mixed with 10 grams of dried coffee leaves, steeped in 500 grams of water for 24 hours. Cascara will add natural sweetness to the drink, while dried coffee leaves will balance the winey notes, and I'm using 25 ml. My second ingredient, this mucilage. We took this ingredient directly from the farm. The water used to remove the mucilage during the natural fermentation of a wash process is then exposed to a gentle heat to reduce its moisture, and it has been pasteurized in the lab to become food safe. This ingredient will enhance my coffee flavor and balance the signature drink, and I added another 20 ml. And my third ingredient, fermented pineapple. Similar to my coffee process, I did a lactic fermentation on fresh pineapple by adding 2% of salt for 36 hours. This ingredient will highlight even more the tropical characteristics of my coffee, but also brings complexity by creating new flavors to the drink. And as you can see, today I'm using a coffee siphon, but in a totally different way. By adding 15 grams of dry ice and then blocking the air into the brewing chamber, I managed to build up pressure and create gases. These gases will mix and enhance all the ingredients, changing their texture to slightly sparkling. Because when dry ice interacts with the liquid, it converts from solid directly to gas, in this case CO2, without first being liquefied. And now that this ingredient is ready, I will add everything to my mixing glass, along with the 2 double shots of espresso, and then 50 grams of ice. After that, to homogenize, but also to control the end temperature, I will stir with a thermometer, as temperature plays an essential role on flavor perception. And I want you today to specifically taste my signature drink at 12 degrees in order to experience flavors of nectarine, passion fruit, cacao nibs, and bergamot florals. The body is juicy, the texture is cooling, and the aftertaste, long, lingering, and refreshing. I'm serving in these double wall glasses in order to maintain the temperature cool and consistent. And please, when I serve you the cups, evaluate my signature drink only after I call my time. And now, as promised, I want you to get connected with the atmospheric experience of the coffee farm in order to fully enjoy and appreciate this great coffee on its natural environment. What's in the cup matters. What's around the cup matters. What we care for matters. Even the cup matters. And this is specialty coffee time.
Thank you very much, Chris Sotiros from Switzerland.